going? This is RS Devour with T.N.B here, and today I got something a little bit different than normal for you guys. Recently my girlfriend Mistel decided to purchase me a replacement computer for a stolen laptop that I had. I had the old blade got stolen from a friend's house. So I'm a little sad about it, but at the same time she made me happy by getting me a new thing. I wanted to make something for her house over here in Fremont, because I'm not from here, I'm from Sacramento, and I wanted something that was a small form factor in comparison to my full ATX build. And I was looking at micro ATX builds, and I came across this case. This is a DIY PC, that's the brand that there is, and this is called a Cuboid G. They're not very well known apparently from what I've seen, and it seems like they're just recently coming out more. But I was looking for reviews on this, and I got everyone on the reviews was saying it was good quality, but I couldn't get any visual effect or exactly how it looked like and exactly what the specs were in real life. So I figured I would do this for you guys just to show you if you're curious about it. I did the liberty already of opening it up just to save a little bit of time and hassle, so getting it out of the box, in the box, all that type of stuff. I kind of eliminated that for you guys just so I can get right to the point. So to get right here, we're looking at this thing right now. As you can see, DIY PC is the actual name of the brand of the company that makes this case. This is their Cuboid G version, and this is basically a gaming case box here. So this is basically the way it comes, just pretty standard, nothing too serious about it, just showing their branding. And then here's just a quick little visual you would get if you saw this in stores. And I mean, it basically looks exactly like that. Obviously, I will show you in more detail. So let me go ahead and get to the actual computer case now. Let me get it out of the way. So, like I said, I already took the liberty of getting everything up and out of here already and done. So basically, everything comes standard again. This is maybe about inch thick foam, at least on the main portions of this thing. So on standard, it's not quite as tough or as hard as previous case boxes that I have seen, so maybe that helps with a little bit of impact. But you're not going to get anything overly flashy here. Now I believe for this actual PC case here, it's actually quite a steal from what I got from it. The thing was roughly, I believe it was $85 regular. I got it on sale from Newegg for about $75, which is awesome. Then it comes here also, plastic covering, I'm sure in case anything happens, any form of liquid goes through and gets on the case. They don't want it directly on the case, so nothing overly fancy, just kind of normal everyday stuff. And so here we are, the actual Cuboid G by DIY PC. This one comes in two different colors. I got the green version, and I believe there is also a blue version as well. But basically, just to kind of give you some rough measurements to start off with, if you're kind of trying to guesstimate how this thing actually will sit next to you. Let me see if I can get this thing straight. So we're looking here from the very tail end to the very front panel. We're looking roughly at about 16. I don't know if you can see it, 16 inches. Then the actual width of this thing, roughly I'm going to say about 11 inches wide. And then let me go here, let me turn this to you. And let me see here what we got. Going from the very bottom end of the table, and we're about 16 high. So it's still fairly small. It's a little bit chubbier than expected, but that's fine. It's going to work perfect for here. So, to kind of get into everything, I'll start off from the front. Thing I like instantaneously about this case, sorry for the table's a little rocky here in the center, is that they don't cheap out and give you plastic grid system. This thing is actually a form of, I'm assuming, aluminum. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's really solid. This actual front panel where your CD drive would actually be is actually a form of a soft rubber, but it still has a hard back plate to it once you actually begin to hit it. So yeah, fairly basic. What you're going to have right up here up front is a 200 millimeter fan, intake fan here, which I'm going to go ahead and upgrade from the standard, because they do give you a standard DIY fan inside here, and I believe it is green LED lit. Let's see here. Now let's go all the way to the back. Let me move this thing for you. Everything's pretty standard as well. Obviously you got your power supply comes in through here. form of a little bit of exhaust here. Here is another exhaust fan that comes along with the case. It is a 120mm fan, and I believe it is green as well. Obviously here's your motherboard area stuff for your connections. Here's some standard powers for the actual fan. I am currently replacing all the fans once I get all my parts in, not because I feel that they're bad, but just I try to keep everything in unison with each other. So that's basically the back panel, not too much. It looks like you have enough for your hoses for a radiator of some sort. Why don't I just go ahead and get right up into the top. Now when I open this thing up and I managed to take a look at the button system, I was like, wow, it looks really good here. It looks you know, fairly smooth. It's got kind of a, this is like a form of a soft plastic, kind of just like the front. But I will tell you, I was very confused, and I never understand why they'll go through this whole case, get everything nice, get you know, heavy metal in the certain parts, and then a good strong, feels like almost like a Durlin plastic. I'm not 100% sure. But then they can't coordinate anything for your headphone jack and your microphone jack. Not to say it's that big of a pain or that much of a deal breaker for me, but the fact that I have to sit here and guesstimate by plugging them in which one does what, or, you know, no microphone sign or headset sign, is very confusing for a lot of me. I really can't complain. $75 case, really can't complain for that, and it's not a deal breaker for me. Just kind of was like, not really quite sure why they left that out. Anyway, on to the next. So it looks like you have, I'm assuming that's a 3.0 and 2.0 USB. So you have two 2.0s and one 3.0. Your reset button, your power button, and then you also have obviously your lights for your hard drive and thinking. And it looks like here you also have for some small hard drives, for say like a GoPro or something like that, just so you can quickly get to it. Up top here, same thing again. This is actually a removable faceplate for your upper half. It is aluminum again. I'm assuming that's the metal. I'm not going to know too much about the specs behind the exact case, but this is just to kind of give you an example. So really nice up front, very smooth texture around the actual edges. Then why don't I just go ahead and pop this off. Now that took no strength at all to get that thing off, which is what I really like. It's very sturdy when it's on, and it's not hard to take off. A lot of them have a really odd clip system, really kind of a pain in the ass, and hopefully you don't break it. But anyway, this is actually a plastic on the back, so they do have that as support, obviously because it's stretching over such a long point. But other than that, this thing is still metal. So it's really sturdy. It will flex a little bit simply because it has a plastic backing, but still, I mean, that's solid stuff from what I can see. So now, looking at the top where the actual exhaust piece would be here, you have a couple things you can do here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you can put a 240mm radiator setup up here, and obviously you can put your two hoses through the back end here, or you can do two 120 configuration fans up top here. You have your standard connections here for the case, reset, power, USBs, all that type of stuff here. Like I said, nothing overly fancy. Now let me crack open. I don't know if I showed you this as well, but both sides of this, because it is a micro ATX and your motherboard is going to lay flat, you have not one, but you also have two plexiglass windows. So that can be good and that can be bad at the same time. If you're really good with your wires, which I am not 100% with, you're definitely going to see some form of it. But luckily they kind of cage off a little bit at the bottom, which I'll go ahead and show you. Let me get off this. The actual back panel itself, standard thumb screws. You know, you don't have to use anything unless you're really serious about tightening it down, which would be not the best of things. But anyway, I got those two off. Let me lay this thing sideways here so I can get the faceplate on and off fairly easy. So, as you can see, here's the interior side of the plexiglass and side panel. Aluminum here on the outside, and a good, I'd say at least an 1/8 thick strong plexiglass. This does not feel cheap, does not feel whimsy. I'm actually putting some pressure. I don't know if you can see it bending the actual thing. You're hearing no cracking, no nothing of me even breaking it. So I mean, it's really good, strong, solid stuff here. So let me just go ahead and put that off the side, and I will show you the actual internals here from what I can see. Actually, let me go ahead and take off both sides while I'm at it. That way you guys get the full effect of it. Take out these two thumb drives here. Boom. Same thing, same plexiglass window again, ×2. Paint's very good on those. I don't see it looking like it's going to be easily chipped. But to give you a full effect here, obviously here's your pre-run cords for your full front panel up top here. It looks like standard, I would say those are 3.5-inch bay drives here for hard drives or solid states. Obviously with the stuff to tie down, obviously your solid states in there. Then it looks, oh actually, I take that back. It actually looks like they have their own solid state drives in here. So here's your standard 3.5, and then it looks like they also gave you courtesy and gave you two, what is that, 2.5 I would assume, solid state drive bay holders here for you. So that's pretty trick. I didn't see that on the box. I personally don't go with solid state just simply because I've had one die and it gave me no heads up in the meantime. But anyway, for those of you that do like it, it does come with it. As you can see, the paint job for the green is just excellent. This is probably my favorite color and probably the main reason why I specifically chose this, because you can't get very much, for whatever reason, you can't get things in color. Really not 100% sure why, but they did a really good job on it. It feels very strong paint. I don't know if you guys can see in here, but down here is your 200mm fan I said that came standard. So there's that. Here's your one bay drive, or your one CD drive here for your reader or whatever you want to do with it, or if you don't want it you can leave it plain. Then back here, as you can see, this fan, hopefully you can see, is got kind of a green hint to it. So that is the green LED exhaust fan here in the back. That is a 120. So they gave you one 200mm fan and also one 120. And then let me just show you the bottom, and that's basically this thing wrapped up here. So basically, I'm assuming you can hear that one pretty well. Still that aluminum base. You do have a removable air filter for your actual intake of your power supply here, so you're not just sucking up a bunch of dust. The other thing that I was really impressed with, and I typically don't like this, is these rod systems here that keep the thing perched up and off the ground by about 1 inch. Is that this is still that same plastic I'm telling you guys about, and it's very smooth, very solid. And I really honestly would have thought they would have done this in metal, but after me really applying, I don't know if you can see the bend in it, but I mean, I'm putting significant force on this thing and it still goes right back to the way it was. Obviously sideways movements on a long surface like this is going to do a little bit more movement, but for me to actually bend these things inward is fairly strong. So as much as I was worried about it, you really are not going to worry about it, I mean, unless you are seriously dropping this thing from 5 feet. So don't worry about it. It's probably going to do good if you have wood surface floors. That way it's kind of not quite as jagged as a typical metal base would be with rubber feet. Other than that, that is the Cuboid G. I really can't complain. This system I think is going to be really awesome once I get everything in here. Not only is the color going to be cool, the size is awesome, but the price was the best thing about this thing. I believe I bought a Rosewell full ATX build tower, and that thing cost me anywhere from $160 to $200. This thing is probably, honestly, I would say better quality in materials they use, and it's about 3/4 cheaper than the actual Rosewell full ATX build. So very impressed. I hope this helped you guys out a little bit here as far as getting an understanding for the actual Cuboid G here, since it doesn't seem to be getting much recognition currently, and after me taking a whim and just getting it, despite not having very many reviews, it's come through pretty good. I honestly won't know until I start putting stuff in and stuff like that, but just getting a quick glimpse of it, the actual components that it's made of, the paint, as far as grade of quality, is 100% good, and everything else just feels very functional and very easy to go. Looks like they went clean and simple with just a little bit of highlights to certain portions of the actual computer, but there you have it, guys. That is the Cuboid G by DIY PC. I hope this helped you guys. This is RS Devour Team Nerd Bomb. Thank you very much and have a good day.